Reaching millennials is best done by a millennial. Reaching millennials for the gospel is best done by a millennial who has a passion for the gospel. Jacob Allen Nichols started Live to Serve all because a little boy asked him if he wanted to play a game of catch. You do not want to miss how God turns Jacob's world upside down. LSU graduate, now living the life of a ministry because he loves the kids he gets to minister to every week. Hello and welcome back to Life on Purpose TV. You are in for a treat today. We have Jacob Allen Nichols as our guest. Jacob graduated LSU in 2010 and he has a degree in history, but he got sidetracked by a kid named Tyler, and he has since started a ministry called Live to Serve. So we're going to talk to Jacob about that story. So let's go back to graduating LSU. You obviously didn't start thinking you were going to have a nonprofit ministry that served kids. So what did you think you were going to do when you went to LSU? What was your picture?
Well, my plan was to go to law school and graduate from LSU and then head to law school. And that was the whole entire idea. It was kind of a, what do I want out of life? What would be best for me? But that all changed whenever I met a little boy named Tyler.
Well, and you stopped every day at the same place to get a cup of coffee to go to school.
Actually, yeah, it was a sweet tea or cherry Coke.
Sweet tea or cherry Coke, good Southern.
Yeah, at this mom and pop gas station. I would stop there and he memorized my class schedule to know what time I was gonna be at the gas station and would be waiting for me every single day after I bought him that first Snickers bar.
Because he knew that you were gonna say to him, what would you like today?
Yes.
And so every day it was something different.
It was always a Snickers bar, an icy, a it seemed like he was just testing every single candy in the store.
And then one day he got up the nerve to when you said, what do you want today? And he told you what he really wanted, which was what?
He wanted to play baseball for the Astros. And I happen to be a diehard Astros fan. That really struck me because here's a kid in my own city who couldn't afford baseball gear. And meanwhile, my dad, quite the baseball player, had all the gloves and things of that sort.
So you went and played?
Catch, just a simple game of catch.
Simple game of catch.
In an empty field next to LSU's campus. He went to give me back the glove and I said, go ahead, keep it. I've got plenty of them. And for the first time ever, he went home with something that wasn't a Snickers bar and icy, something he could eat on the way home. Right. And all of his friends saw it and asked him where he got that glove from. And the next day, there was Tyler and a friend. And the friend said, hey, I want a glove too. And so I went and got him a glove, and then the following day, Tyler and 15 friends.
The store becomes a crowded store.
Yeah, it was, you know, it look, what am I up to with all these kids surrounding my truck? And thankfully, my parents had plenty boxes of gloves for when me and my brother were younger, playing baseball.
So what was stirring in your heart as you saw this happening with these little boys?
It took time for my heart to be stirred. It wasn't an overnight thing where it just, boom, here's this thing and this is what God wants for me. It was just, let me go do my good deed, get my Baptist good star for the day. Give
a kid a glove, yeah. Go back to school, party with my friends.
Yeah, that was the idea. And you know, I didn't attend the BCM on LSU's campus regularly. I attended church regularly, but if my parents didn't attend that church, I probably wouldn't have.
So describe that time. How long was it and when did you make the shift into, I think I want to do this more often?
My freshman year, I did it full time for the first time ever. So I had my whole entire summer to myself, didn't have any summer classes, didn't have a summer job, so I just did this thing. That's when my heart finally started to get stirred up. I just started to slowly fell in love with it. And I remember my sophomore year, people would come up to me and they would ask me, how was your summer? And I would give them this big, huge, drawn out speech. To where one of my friends posted on Facebook and said, ask Jacob Allen Nichols about his summer, I dare you to. And that's when I first started to get excited about it and really first started to love it. And something I really love now is to see volunteers today when they get that excited about it and have that joy when they first come.
So how did it get from playing baseball in a field to Live to Serve? And I know your dad helped you with some things by getting some equipment, right?
My dad gave me all the equipment growing up.
So you used what you had?
I used what I had. We had all the gloves and stuff that we needed. He was always there to play catch with us. So that was huge for us. That definitely had an influence on it. But then also too, my home church, University Baptist, We didn't have a pastor at the time. The college minister and the youth minister were leading Sunday worship. And I went to them and I said, hey, I have this idea on playing games with inner city kids. And a lot of Baptist pastors would have said, well, the insurance, this, we're putting ourselves at a liability. Michael and Shannon said, okay, let's do it. I think 2 Sundays later, they had me speak in front of the whole entire congregation, and we put these barrels out in front of the church and just collected all sorts of sports equipment from everyone, and those who didn't have sports equipment donated money for us to get that sports equipment. And my youth group, who I was very, very close to growing up, all came out. Even though I was technically out of the youth group now, I was in college. That first summer they all started coming out, and there wasn't a Saturday where we didn't have 10, 15 volunteers out there that first summer.
Now the first summer, is that when you started literally walking the streets?
Yes, there was an empty field. It just got sold for an apartment complex, and so we moved to Alaska Street Park. We walked to pass out flyers. My best friends all got involved with me, and we all did it, and they kept doing it with me, and it just kept growing and getting bigger. And then something happened about the 3rd school year in, midway through, to where it just blew up. And it just all of a sudden became the really, really popular thing to do on campus.
And then the Y got involved and gave you a place.
Yes, so we originally went into that Y just to use the bathroom. There was nowhere for us to use the bathroom, and so we just kept wandering in. And then Clayton Hayes from Connections Ministry had some connections at that Y. And so he came and introduced us, and they said, the only night that we have free right now is Wednesday nights. And so we went in there on Wednesday nights with these kids.
Suddenly you have a facility.
Suddenly, just by God at work, we have a facility. The people at Baton Rouge Area YMCA have always been so great and so wonderful and welcoming, and always a big, huge support.
You're in an impoverished neighborhood that was near this field where you started your Live to Serve, and you've built it around this community of impoverished families, right?
Yes.
So they are needy people. These kids need something to do, and you're providing with them a productive way to spend their afternoons.
Yes, so the neighborhood that we work in is wonderful, great little neighborhood, all very historic, with all old shotgun style houses and very few yards. So the kids just need a safe place that they can play and have fun in. And thankfully we have this great facility that we can go and do. But if you've ever been with 50 kids, you know you can't just let 50 kids all run around this playground in this gymnasium.
You have to have
by themselves, yeah.
Guardrails.
You have to have somebody there playing with them to don't jump off that slide that way, don't do this way, to make sure they're staying safe.
How did you connect with the Greek community and invite them to give of their time in such a way that you have thousands volunteering with Live to Serve?
We were talking about the Christmas giveaway, and we were meeting at Christ the King on LSU's campus, a church on LSU's campus. And they have all these classrooms there that the students use for studying. So we were meeting in one of those classrooms with just, I would say about 5 or 6 of us. And this girl randomly wanders in to looking for a place to study. About midway through the meeting, she interrupts us, and we don't know who she is, and she goes, well, I'm the president of my sorority. What are you guys doing to get Greek life involved in Christmas? And we just said, nothing. We don't know anyone involved. And she goes, okay, well, let me go talk to some people, and I'll be right back. And she goes and makes a phone call, then all of a sudden we're going to be the fall philanthropy thing for all of Greek life, for them to raise Christmas toys with us.
Like a huge leap forward.
Yeah, it was just an overnight snap of the fingers.
So one of my favorite things about Live to Serve that I hear you talking about is how you walk the streets and pick up the kids, obviously because you've outgrown your car. So how does a day operate when you end up in the building, and then all of a sudden how does it get to filled up with kids?
It all started with us walking to go to pick up the kids. So that way we could just bring them back to the Y because it was too dangerous for them to walk on their own. I walk the streets before the volunteers get there. And the big reason why I do that is just kind of remind the kids what we're doing today and what's going on today. Also too, I get all the neighborhood gossip. If a kid gets in trouble in school, I'll know about it because his little brother or his little sister will come up to me and be, so-and-so got in trouble at school today. And I'll know, so when I get to them, I'll say, so what happened at school today? And then, how do you know that? You know? But also it shows the community that, look, here, we want to be a part of this community. We want to, you know, be involved with this community, because when we first started, there was a little bit of just, who is this outsider coming in and taking our kids? Right. And so, but if you see the same person walking up and down the streets every single day, they no longer become a stranger. One of our big events is called Live to Play. The kids just come and play games, and we have Bible study with them.
And how many days a week?
Every single day. Majority of the time in the evening, a lot of times in the afternoon, Saturdays and Sundays in the morning and afternoons. Each day is something different. You know, Tuesdays and Thursdays are dedicated to tutoring. And we try to do different things to where they've been sitting down all day. So let's make it fun. Let's make it to where it's a board game and they can't move until they answer a math problem. Wednesday nights are our big nights where we have sometimes up to 150 LSU students come as volunteers, and we'll only have 75 kids. And I always tell the volunteers, I say, don't be discouraged, because nothing against the teachers, but it's one teacher for 30 kids. And that teacher's doing a wonderful job, but it's still, there's only one of her. Them getting the attention of 2 adults is huge.
God has stirred in your heart a purpose to change the life of kids. What would you say to someone who's feeling, wow, what is my purpose? How do I connect with what God put me here to do?
What is on your heart? Because whatever is on your heart, that is your purpose. There's not going to be a moment where the clouds open up and there's a bearded guy standing there with lightning bolts coming out of his fingertips saying, this is what I want you to do. He put it on your heart.
I'm here with Emily Titus. Emily is joining us to talk about the perspective of being a volunteer from Live to Serve. She's volunteered for 3 years. She's a college student as well, but she's had an opportunity to see this program at work from a different perspective. So she's going to talk to us about how this has changed her life and molded her heart, and maybe think about, without saying anybody's name, a particular child that you think of when you go over to Live to Serve.
There's one child and he has behavioral issues, so he used to get in a lot of trouble. So there was one point when Jacob told him to stay home because he would just he'd be very bad, rude to the volunteers. One day I went to go pick him up. I wasn't supposed to, but I did it anyway. And we just got along. He was always with me that day at Live to Serve. And it just showed me that I was really impacting this kid because he just kept coming back, and Jacob was just letting him come back, even though sometimes he was rude to me. But I just dealt with it and told him that's not how you're supposed to be, that's not what you're supposed to be doing.
And he responded.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
So he heard you, and not only did he hear you, but he did what you said.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So I felt like I was really impacting his life, and at the same time he was impacting mine in ways that I didn't even know, changing my heart.
So you live to serve and you live to play.
Yes,
you get to have a fun time.
Yes, ma'am.
And you get to change lives. What does it take to be the #1 philanthropy on a college campus like LSU? It takes a great leader who knows how to recruit leaders and knows how to tell a story of kids who just need mentors. If you want to get involved in Live to Serve, the ministry of Jacob Allen Nichols, go to lifeonpurpose.tv. There you can buy sports equipment, you can sponsor kids to go to the beach, or you could pay for kids to get tutoring. You pick. But that way you can change the life of a child by Live to Serve.